Hi there, my name's Joe, and I was going through my boxes of stuff that I used to have as a kid. I've been selling a lot of things on eBay lately, and I came across all of these 1/35th scale figures of army men, right, from the good old days. So Marx Revell, I think, was the brand. Marx for sure was the brand, and they owned these molds from, gee whiz, the 60s to the 70s, and then they were sold off, and there's a lot of reproductions out there. Well, anyway, these are original ones, and I had them when I was a kid. And I would take them over to my cousin's house, and we would play army. Massive amounts of soldiers just littering the floor of his bedroom, and then we'd slaughter each other. It was a lot of fun. But we started getting them confused, right? Which ones were mine, which ones were his. So we found a little system. And what we did was, we thought it was quite clever at the time, but it's kind of obvious now, I suppose. We painted the bottom of the bases. Mine were painted, or with markers, and his were not. So obviously, even with that caution, I still have a couple of his figures. That's how it goes. Sorry, Eric. So then Eric got some new models, and these were pretty awesome. These are also Marx, but they were like the next generation, exceedingly dynamic, and they were pretty awesome. So naturally, the Cold War begun, so I had to keep up. So I went and I found the Germans, right? The Germans were pretty cool, and I enjoyed them very much. So they were here, the officer, and then a couple of just the soldiers, fairly dynamic as well. And see, again, these were mine, but then of course Eric kept up. He got them too, so this one's his. Sorry, cousin. But I thought, okay, that's a lot of fun, and we're having a blast with them, but I wanted to distinguish them a little bit more. So I started painting mine. Okay, not real good job, I agree. And at the time, this was just testers, model paint. So, the boots are exceedingly shiny, and I did a horrible job. But I don't know, I was a young guy. Look, I tried to put the insignia on the helmet. That didn't work out so well. But, there you go. And we had a blast with that. We moved into the Japanese, World War II Japanese, and I started doing the same thing with mine. I started painting them. I got a little bit better from those Germans before. And then we went a little bit more modern, and we got some British soldiers. Well, I did. And then I started painting those up a little bit. I got a little bit better. I bought some proper paints, and I was having a real good time with that. And then I started seeing Vikings, and I couldn't resist. So, begged mom. Mom went and she got me the Vikings. And these are all 40 years old, maybe a little bit more. Not exactly sure when I got them. The Marx, it says Marx here on the base. I don't think that you can see that, but maybe. Anyway, they never put a date on them, to the best of my knowledge. And when they sold the molds, people started making them, and they even have the little bases on the bottom, and they may even have the label that says Marx on them. But they're reproductions, and I understand that it's pretty difficult to ascertain the originals from the copies. Anyway, these are originals, and of course I started painting those as well, right? I just couldn't resist. I was hooked. I was totally hooked. So there's a lot of Vikings. Had a lot of Vikings. I had a lot of knights, and even the horses and everything. So I painted those like crazy. I always liked this guy. He was one of my favorites. So then I saw Revolutionary War. How could I resist, right? Of course, he's supposed to be holding a sword. It's broken off, and he's supposed to have a drumstick, and that's broken off. But I had a lot of those Minutemen, and I had a lot of the lobster backs, right? The British redcoats. And of course, I tried my hand at painting them as well. And yeah, his gun is broken off too. I had frontiersmen. I had Native Americans, Indians. I had Civil War. Look at this, already a bit of a larger scale. And I had cavalry. I got the horses here somewhere. And I had Civil War artillery. Really cool. Yeah, awesome model. I had like 8 or 9 of these. Wheels spun. Pretty slick. I had World War II howitzers, and they actually shot. They're spring loaded, and it came with a little, and of course those little away, and I don't know where they are anymore. I started getting scenery, right? So a lot of rocks. So I would line the roads. I'd have the soldiers marching down the road, and then they would ambush each other. Oh, here's the cannons. I had a good time. And then a little more World War II scenery. I painted that guy up. Not too bad. A little shiny, but you know, what are you gonna do? I didn't paint that side. It was the inside. Why would I do that? Anyway, I enjoyed these very much when I was a young guy, and I figured that I'm gonna pull them out and see what I had, see what I could still do with them. I haven't painted in years. I set these big soldiers to the side when I found HO scale. And HO scale, HO scale, right? 1/72. And that opened up a whole new range of things for me. I enjoyed those very much. And I'll do a video on my 1/72 scale soldiers. I really enjoyed them, and I was getting pretty good at painting in those days. After that, I discovered Dungeons and Dragons, and I had all sorts of Dungeons and Dragons figures, right? Like, here, this guy here, never painted him, but I can get into those again later. And I found, much later, 40K, of course, and I found Mordheim. Yeah, Mordheim was awesome. Games Workshop games. And we'll go into that later. And I want to start painting again. Seeing if I can pick up where I left off. Maybe get better than what I was. Anyway. So hopefully you'll join me as I go back on the painting trail and trying to get some skill back, to get back to the level that I was near the end of my painting career about 20 years ago. And if you're just beginning, awesome, then we can learn things together. Maybe we can share tips, and we can make our gaming figures all that better. Okay, thank you for coming today. Goodbye.